Turn to the teacher. Turn to the teacher.
And welcome back. I'm Mike with the Turntable Teachers, and class is back in session. Here for another guest speaker episode at AOA Studios. If you're an artist, podcaster, or a content creator, make sure you hit us up at aoastudios.org to book your session today. We do it all here. And I am joined by a very special guest. She is a Latin R&B artist, just most recently the most recent Latin Artist of the Year award in 2022 for the Boston Music Awards. It's none other than Yelena Rodriguez joining us on Turntable Teachers. Thank you so much for being here, Yelena. It's awesome to have you.
No, thank you.
Of course. How you doing today?
I'm feeling good. How are you doing?
I'm good. You know, I'm in the middle of fall and wedding season, so I'm at I'm at the age where all my friends are choosing to get married. Bachelor parties. We're in 5 weddings this year.
Oh, wow.
So and then in November, I have 3 weddings back to back to back. I just came back from Austin, Texas on a bachelor party. So literally like 2 days ago.
Wow, so that's awesome.
It was great. It's a lot of fun. It's just hectic and it's busy, but it's good. It's good busy. You know what I mean? It's good stuff. I can't complain.
I can imagine.
So but I'm doing well. I'm doing well.
Awesome.
And how are you? What's going on with you? How's your week been?
My week has been good. It's been pretty busy. Right now I'm preparing for one of my biggest shows for this month.
Heck yeah.
At the Big E. It's going to be on the 30th of this month. So things have been very hectic. I've also been traveling. So it's been a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Sometimes busy is good though, right?
Of course.
I'd rather be that than not. But you need to balance too, right? You need to have a little bit of downtime. There's nothing wrong with both. But well, like I said, thanks so much for coming.
Of
and
course,
you've been such a big supporter of ours for the last few months and liking and commenting on everything. Like we just appreciate the support that you've given. And I'm so excited to have come on to your music and to get to know you a little bit over this process. And I'm really excited for this episode.
Thank you.
So normally on the Turntable Teachers, we start with the first segment of the show, which is the objective. So we get to know a little bit about you, your background. And so I know you come from Cuban and Dominican descent. So on both sides, your dad is Cuban, correct? And your mom's Dominican?
Correct, yep.
And you have a unique story or a unique background, I think, because you've kind of grown up in the Boston area too, but you've also split some time between here and Florida.
Yeah.
So it was Orlando and Cape Coral, correct? Yeah. So my first question is, you living in, primarily on the East Coast, but in the Northeast and then also the Southeast, talk to me a little bit about that juxtaposition or dichotomy between the two locations and how that both of those environments have affected you as not only a person but as a musician as well.
Well, I would say as a person, I come from a middle class family. I don't really talk about that, that much, I guess you could say. But I come from a middle class family. So I growing up in Florida, I would say I lived in privileged areas, so I got to see how it was living in the suburbs and it being quiet and stuff. And then when I lived in Boston, I got to be in neighborhoods that obviously weren't that good, not so much privilege, like in the hood or however you want to call it, just because of when times were rough and only one parent was only able to work and stuff like that. So I got to pretty much see both worlds. And I feel like with that, it kind of helped me as a person, but also an artist, really come used to change, but also just kind of know how to be in different environments. Because I feel like when it comes to music, I can kind of mingle in different environments, which is a hip hop environment or rock environment or country environment, kind of stuff like that, if that makes sense.
Totally.
So I feel like it definitely, overall just taught me on how to kind of just know how to be in certain environments, how to be self-aware of certain things that people typically are not self-aware. When you think of someone who grew up in the suburbs, they're not going to really know certain lingos or be kind of ignorant about the things that may happen in like the hood. Like if you're someone that grew up in a bad place in Dorchester or Roxbury compared to you being someone that grew up in a nice town, like, I don't know, like, what's one of the most richest towns here? Like Drake or a town like that, you know, just to give an example. But, due to my upbringing, I was kind of able to be in both environments and see, you know, like the struggles, but also see, you know, how it is to be privileged and recognize, and also like learn how to be more grateful for when you do have the nice things and then things happen and all of a sudden those things go away, but you obviously can get it back. Like also having, you know, being in that position and having that mindset, like growing up as well.
I love that answer, and I love the self-awareness of that. Like you mentioned that once or twice, and the social awareness of it too. I mean, it almost seems as though from your answer, like you're almost like a chameleon in a way, right? Like you can almost like adapt based on your environment and not blend in, but I don't mean it that way, but I in the sense of being able to, you know, be a part of the Massachusetts scene and potentially go down and in the floors. Cause I'm sure, you know, with the type of music you make, I think it would go obviously really well in Miami, you know, you know, and really anywhere in the area of Florida.
Yeah,
but like you're saying, like there's more of a hip hop R&B sort of like almost boom bap-ish
up here.
That's more popular here. So for you to be able to adapt in both places speaks a lot to, like you said, your self-awareness, but also your social awareness. And I think having those two experiences are good because, you know, a lot of times people only have one or the other experience, right?
Correct,
like, you know, growing up, I grew up more in the suburbs, and then I sort of got the, you know, I got the city effect when I started working in the city as a teacher for the first time. I worked in Everett for a few years, and now being where I am up in the suburbs, like I got to see that like difference as well. And it's also, like you said, I definitely look at that difference all the time with like the students that I had in Everett versus the students I have now. I totally like, there's just different needs there, but it's important to, I guess, kind of look at both sides of it. So I guess I'll ask too about the music side of things, especially. So I know that like when you were 7, you really like started to get into music, and that was like your big entry point. Did you always consciously want to get into Latin music and be a Latin artist and sort of like, you know, stay more true to those roots of you being Cuban and Dominican? Is that like, felt like that was natural for you, or was that something that happened a little bit more over time?
Right. I don't think I really acknowledged what kind of music I wanted to make or what genre I wanted to be in until I got older. I think when I was younger, I just sang whatever I liked, you know, because not only was I singing Spanish music, but I also was singing English music. Like I was singing music by Kelly Clarkson, or like music by Pink or Avril Lavigne, or, you know, any of those like American or English speaking artists. Sure. And then sometimes I would go back to like singing to songs that were Spanish speaking, you know, from like Latin artists, you know. So I don't think I really knew what genre I wanted to be in or what music I wanted to make until I got older.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And then for you, when was like the moment you said to yourself, like, hey, like this is something I'd actually like to pursue, and like this music thing is really deep within me, and I want to really give it a go? Like I know you had been performing when you were like around 11, 12-ish or something like that. And so I'd heard some things about like you obviously in your really young preteen years. So was that like where you kind of found your love for it, or did that happen a little bit later too?
I think it was definitely when I was 15. Yeah. I was 15 when I really like felt like I felt that this was my purpose, and I felt that, you know, that it was just like something that I really loved, and it was something that really made me feel like I was at home, you know, especially someone who has moved around a lot. I've had my childhood homes, but like they never were really home to me because I wasn't there for years. So I don't know how it feels to be in a home to be there more than like 10 or 20 years, you know? So when it comes to music is home for me. The stage is home for me, if that makes sense.
Totally,
you know?
It makes sense. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's so cool. Like I really appreciate that. And it's funny. I moved around a lot when I was a kid too. Now even though I've only really lived in Massachusetts, I've moved around in many different cities, towns, and different things like that, and especially in my 20s. But you know, I think that there's pros and cons to both, right? I think for you to grow up and have some different experiences, I think that really reflects in who you are as not only a person, as an and as an artist as well. And those influences can oftentimes really be the deciding factor of either writing content or being inspired by a different genre of music that maybe you wouldn't have been accessed to before.
Right.
So I think, do you see like almost as that being an advantage for you, even though, you know, I can kind of sense a little bit that there's like, oh, I never really got to like, you know, really sit down and have roots somewhere, but do you feel like there's maybe an advantage or a few advantages there for yourself that you...
Yeah, I feel like there is definitely a lot more advantages than disadvantages. I think the only disadvantages is, like I said, like, I don't know how it feels to be living in a house and being like, yeah, I lived here for more than 20 years, you know what I'm saying? Or like more than 10 years. As well as I don't know how it feels to have childhood friends. I probably only like have one. But other than that, like, I think the advantages is really about the reality of when you're moving around a lot and you're being put in different environments that can really help you to adapt to changes and to new environments and being around people you've never been around, or even maybe like being able to go to like a different country and, you know, like being self-aware of certain things, you know, like, so I feel like those are like the biggest advantages. And in music, I feel like the biggest advantage for me is being open to creating different types of music, not just sticking to one type, if that makes sense, or one genre. So
No, absolutely. Because even though you've been labeled clearly as the Latin Artist of the Year in Boston, right? I know that you like to incorporate not only different genres, but you sing in Spanish and in English.
Yeah.
So when you were coming up as an artist, when did you like decide like, okay, I'm going to like, or how do you get the inspiration to say, okay, I'm going to sing this song in English, or I'm going to sing this part in Spanish? Like, what's that separation for you in being able to do both?
yeah.
How do you like, you know, juggle that or balance that?
I think I just listen to my intuition. So like when I'm writing the song, I right then and there, I kind of like know whether or not I want to do like a English version of that song, or if I'm thinking of a song, do I want to do in Spanish? Now I'm in a place where I'm most likely going to start putting more music out in Spanish, but I definitely will kind of like here and there do like English versions of like, you know, the songs that I'll be putting out from here on out. But I think that overall, when I first started doing music, it more so was just like an intuitive thing, you know, like if I wanted to write this song in English, put it out in English, I'll do it. And then if I thought of a song in Spanish, I'll keep it in Spanish. If it makes sense to do an English version, I'll do an English version. And if not, I won't do it, you know?
Right,
so, yeah.
That's funny. And I know you are somebody that is spiritual and you really like lean on that intuition a lot. That's something I definitely want to talk to you about in the next segment. But my last question that I had was, and in the objective segment of the show, which was how you got into the Boston music scene. So I know you've only been in about 2 or 3 years now, I'd say, roughly.
Roughly.
Closer to 3 years, I think.
Yeah,
now.
probably 2 to 3 years, or maybe, something like that. Because I know the pandemic, I released my first song when it was like 2020 of January. Okay. And then the pandemic hit probably, what was it, like in March of 2020?
Like that,
yeah. So I didn't really get a chance to really be in this scene probably like maybe that summer of 2020. So 2 to 3 years, I would say. Yeah.
That's really cool. And then working with people like Skip and DJ Outside and Queen and all them, like how have they been, you know, integral to your sort of growth as an artist, and anyone else that you've worked with as well? Yeah,
I mean, I've worked with a lot of people since
Shane Dillon, another one. I know you worked with him briefly as well. He's a good friend of the show. Shout out Shane. Yeah,
he's awesome. I've worked with a lot of people, like the engineer that I first started off with, David, you know, he was someone that definitely gave me great advice when it came to like my upbringing, starting, you know, when I was starting out in music back in 2020, and he's an amazing person. So shout out to him. And then eventually I ended up meeting Skip. I met him through one of my exes. And Skip is someone that definitely has given me great advice. Skip is obviously an amazing artist. And him and I, you know, he's a Latin artist too. So it's a lot of the things that we kind of like are trying to figure out in our own genre or in our own demographic, you know, we obviously can relate to, and we give each other advice and stuff like that. And it's even amazing to see his upbringing. He's been doing music longer than I have, but it's really nice to see someone who's in the same genre as me, but maybe not doing the same type of music, you know, to see, you know, their success and stuff like that. And then from there, like, I started meeting other people like Shane Dillon, like Queen, DJ Alcide, oh my gosh, there's so many other people, like people from like Roomba radio station, Chocolate Radio, who else, like so many, Paul, who, you know, who was working with BAMS Fest.
Yeah,
he's an amazing.
Yeah, Paul's awesome. I just met Paul like a month ago.
Yeah, he's so amazing.
Yeah, I met him at a networking event, and he was a really, really great guy.
Yeah, he is.
And I literally saw him the next day. I never met him. I saw him there, and then saw him the next day at Goldfest.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
So I was like, it was wild. I was like, hey, nice to see you again.
Yeah, exactly.
So he seemed like we had like a long-winded conversation. He seems like a really good person. Just has his head. Not to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
No,
but
no,
I was like,
don't be sorry.
I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I just met him. That's so funny.
Yeah, no, he's an amazing person. He's given me such great advice. So I really do appreciate him. And then honestly, there's so many others. Like if there's people I haven't mentioned, don't take it personal. I say this all the time in interviews, but there's been so many people that like engineers that I worked with. Again, like David, I've worked with Jay Rose, the first engineer that I worked with before David. His name is Show. He's obviously international Show. He's an artist himself as well too.
Yeah, I'm familiar with him too.
Yeah, so like there's been a lot of people that I've worked with within these 2-3 years, and whether it's engineers, whether it's obviously working alongside different artists, DJs, you know, people from radio stations. Like I work with Spark FM, like an intern for them.
Oh, fantastic.
So yeah, it's a lot of people. And even outside of Massachusetts, like I've been graciously enough to be connected with people that are actually in the music industry. So it's been a whirlwind, as they say, you know, but in like obviously in a great way. And for the one thing I'm grateful for the people that, you know, I've mentioned or haven't mentioned, a lot of them obviously were able to see my growth. And I think one of the most beautiful things, at least from my perspective, is when I can get to see how a person has grown throughout the years, like literally seeing like a flower like bloom, you know? And so it's really nice for the people that still remain to be by my side, still remain to be in my life. Even though when I think about it, it really hasn't been that long. But even then, it feels like it's been a long time. So I'm very grateful for everyone, again, that I've mentioned, but also for those that I haven't mentioned. Yeah.
Cool. That's an awesome answer. I didn't realize you interned at Spark too.
Yeah, so cool. I did. I don't really talk about it often, but yeah, I did.
No kidding. Okay. Yeah, because I know I'm very good friends with Ysham, and then also I just met Steven as well at another at a panel for Master of the Chamber. So he was a really, really gracious guy. So big shout out to Spark FM and everything they're doing as well. A great platform in Massachusetts. But yeah, that's awesome. So I'm so happy for you, because like, you know, I think in 3 years you've accomplished a lot, clearly, and you've had so much growth, and that can be overwhelming. So for you, I mean, you just seem like such a very kindred, just calm spirit. Like you have this very calming is that something that for you, it's not even a question I had, but like, how do you kind of keep it all together? Like what's your secret? You know what I mean? Because you've had such this growth. Like sometimes that can be, like I said, overwhelming and stressful, and like, you know, some people just handle that differently. So like when you're getting these accolades and you're, you know, all these people that you're working with, and you're seeing this fast track on the growth, like how do you handle it?
Honestly, I don't know. I try the best. I mean, I think just now I started learning how to really be still and to not like feel like I have to like have control over certain things, or especially when it's so many changes and so much that's like happening at a rapid pace, I guess you want to call it. And for me, I just feel like I've really just grown to know how the importance of grounding myself. I'm the type of person where I can get easily overwhelmed. So I really try to take time throughout the week or even on the weekends to really like give myself some time to rejuvenate, I guess you could say. And I know that some friends that are watching, they're probably like, this girl doesn't do it, but I really have been trying. I've been trying because like you said, there's been a lot of changes. There's been a lot of things that have happened, accolades or however you want to call it. And sometimes I don't really see it that way because I always think to myself, well, there's more to do, like, you know, like there's still so much that I still haven't accomplished, and I don't even have that much music on my belt, or I haven't released music since like in December, and right now I'm like preparing for a new release. Like, you know, there's so much that's still going on behind the scenes that obviously a lot of people don't know, and a lot of people don't know obviously that, you know, that some nights I feel like I'm not doing enough, you know.
That's the hardest part of this, being in this industry. I feel that all the time. Like, if there's a night or a day I didn't feel as productive in music side of my life, I'm like, damn, like I didn't make that stride that day.
Exactly.
And I can beat myself up over it. And I think a lot of people easily can relate to something like that.
Oh yeah, of course.
But at the same time, you're right. You do need those days that you can replenish and relax, and because it makes the productive days more productive when you can use those off days to like really recharge, reset.
Right.
And I'm like you. Like, I want to sit here and say that like I meditate all the time and do yoga all the time, and the things that when I do them, I feel so much better.
Oh yeah, of course.
But for me, it's been the consistency and like trying to do it on a consistent basis. And again, it's just hard when you are an adult and you're juggling all these things.
Yeah,
and
that too.
You're trying to pursue a music career, but you also maybe working a job, and you have personal life, you know, friends and family obligations, and just everything that comes with being an adult in 2023 in the United States. It's like, it's not easy anymore to like, the passion project sometimes needs to be put on hold or pause for a day or a week or sometimes even a month. But like, you'll always find your way back to it. That's the way I'm trying to look at it now, where it's like not putting so much pressure on myself either to feel like, okay, I have to like be Superman every single day of the week. It's just because it's not sustainable.
True. Yeah, no, it's not. And I think like I said, for me, I'm just learning how to really be still. I'm just learning that at the end of the day, like, besides being spiritual, like I believe in the universe and, you know, and angel numbers and all that kind of stuff, but I also believe in God. So I feel like for me, I started to learn since last month that it's not my timing, it's his timing, you know, it's the universe's timing, or whoever can relate. Like, you don't have control over when everything is going to happen the way it's going to happen for you, you know? And that's kind of goes hand in hand when you're comparing yourself to other people and you're like wondering, oh, but why is that not happening for me? Or why is it that so-and-so's not contacting me to be the headliner for this show or whatever it may be? Because it's not your timing. It just wasn't for you, but it can be, as long as you, put that in your mindset. And for you to grow into that mindset, I feel like for me, what really helped me is learning how to be still, you know? Yeah. And I know, like I said, a lot of any of my friends that watch this, they're going to probably laugh or be like, that girl, she's hard. Because even there's been times I would call like my friend, Talia, she is, you know, my A&R and PR, public relations. And I would always go to her and be like, Talia, like, is it okay if today I don't do any work or if I don't work on any task? And she would be like, girl, I think you should not do anything for at least a week. And because, you know, I'm the type of person who tends to overwork myself, you know, and gets to a point where like, you know, my body starts to like, I feel exhausted and I feel like I can't really do much. And, you know, that's when I'm like, okay, we need to be still, you know, but I'm trying to really on a regular basis practice to be still before I even get to that exhaustion, if that makes sense, you know?
For sure. Yeah. It's almost like you're preparing for that, which is what you would do for like any other situation, right? Yeah. Like, for example, if you know, you don't wait to when if you have a fire in your house, you don't wait to then put fire alarms in your house. You see what I'm saying? That's maybe a poor analogy, but like you wouldn't do that, right? Yeah, so exactly. Why wouldn't you do that with your own body and your own mind and your own spirit?
Yeah.
I am not religious, but I'm definitely spiritual, and I felt as though that I agree with you that the universe will kind of put you where you need to be, where you need, and I've been talking to a couple of people about this, and you mentioned it a couple of times, and I find this this idea fascinating that, you know, a lot of people say take control over your life and all these things.
No, you can't.
But yeah, right.
Well, I don't want to say you can't, but like, well, go ahead.
No, it's okay. To an extent, I feel like there's only a certain amount of control that we all have over our own lives, and we think we have more control than we really do.
Yes.
And I think I think during the pandemic is when I started to kind of come to terms with that. I was constantly trying to control everything in my life, and I started to let some things go a little bit and not get so attached to outcomes and just be attached to experiences. And I'm not all the way there, obviously. Like, I'm not perfect in that mindset. I stray from it all the time. But it's helped me to sort of put that in my mind of saying, you might not have control over this situation. And that's okay, because you're not meant to have control every situation. Because what would the journey be with the control? Like, you wouldn't have to really truly work for anything or you would, but not to the extent of like you said, allowing your time to happen and just believing in that. I'm a big believer like manifestation too, and all those things. Like I'm not saying that, you know, you can manifest to be like the King of England, but like, you know, if you live in the United States, if I'm here, like I can manifest all I want to be the King of England. It's probably not going to happen, but if you want to manifest some things that are realistic, I think it's on the table.
It's doable.
I think it's doable. I think it's on the table.
Yeah.
You know, and I've found that when I've done that, things have sort of like figured themselves out in a way. So I love where you're going with this, and I think that mindset is super important for just sustainability at the end of the day. You know,
no, it is.
So
I
love that.
Yeah, I try. I mean, like I said, I don't want, you know, for people to think like, oh, she has it packed down. I don't.
No.
Because it's not easy. And I laugh when you're like, oh, you're so calm. And I'm like, yeah, just you haven't caught me with my hard days. But I really try to be as much as I can. And like I said, I'm really in a place where I'm really recognizing that at the end of the day, I don't have control of how things are going to fall into place. Exactly. You know, my dream for me, music wise, is to become an international sensation. I want to be recognized internationally and win awards in every part of the, you know, the world. And, you know, like that's my aspiration. That is my goal. Do I believe I can get there? Yes, I can definitely manifest that, but you obviously have to put in the work. But for me to get there, I have to really make sure that I'm being still and not like trying to force myself to get there, or getting frustrated, or blaming things on other people, or, you know, stuff like that, you know, because to get to where you want to be, it really comes hand in hand. You have to do the work, but you also have to know when it makes sense to rest, take the time, because no matter whatever you put out into the universe, it's going to come back to you, right? So the universe or God, whoever, you know, whatever you believe in, they know that this is my goal and they know this is my sole purpose. So I know that already I'm going to achieve it. I just don't know when it's going to happen. So I can't stress. I can't tell myself, you know, oh my gosh, like I know everything's going to happen by the end of this year, or I know by the end of this year, like I'm going to be at the top, you know? And of course I want to manifest that, but it's just, I don't have control over the timing, you know? And that's really like what I really was thinking to myself and reflecting on since last month, which is funny. So you caught me at a good time, because prior to all of this, like I really was having a hard time about knowing that it is always best to be still, or knowing that you don't have control over your timing, you know, because everyone has their own timing. But I'm grateful enough, like how you said, and other people have said, that I've achieved so much in a short period. Like that I feel good, but at the same time, like I sometimes kind of like downplay it, and I'm like, well, I haven't done enough, or I haven't done this, but also I know that the time is going to happen, you know? So yeah. I
completely agree. I think that you are clearly in a place that makes sense for you. I think honestly anybody should take a peek into that sort of idea, because I think it would help more people to, like you said, just be more still and just relax and not be so attached to the outcome of things, and just believe that things are going to happen. So yeah, awesome answer. Great job already. This is a great conversation. I'm loving this. I want to move into the main lesson,
Of course.
which in the main lesson segment of the show, we talk about what you got going on now and what's been going on with you lately. So the big news is the project EP. Is it correct, or is it an album?
It is an EP. So I'm actually going to be releasing a single like this fall. I can't give a date yet.
Okay.
But there will be an EP following after.
That.
Yeah.
Got you. And is that going to be before the new year, or are you thinking is that going to be more 2024?
The EP is definitely going to be 2024 for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And what's been saying what you can say about it now? What's been the inspiration behind this project for you, and what is it to be in the process now of creating it? How has that been for you?
I mean, I would say the biggest inspiration has been how do I say this? Like how much I've evolved as a person. Yeah. So right now I'm going through like a whole rebranding stage.
Okay.
Right now I'm really stepping into this like new persona as an artist, which is La Rosa, which means the rose in Spanish. And La Rosa pretty much is this persona who is divine, who is beautiful, who is is in her power and always steps into her power and is literally like blossoming like the rose. And so with the music, that's pretty much what's happening now that I'm working on releasing this new single and then also working on the EP, is just putting a lot of that emphasis on how much I've evolved as a person, and also talking about everything that I've experienced up to now, and the reason why I've been evolving is because of the things that I went through last year and the year before, and the people that I've met, and the person who really impacted me, I guess this new person that I am now, or I'm growing into, if that makes sense. So yeah.
That's awesome. And for you, like so is it still on the same wave of that like karmic connection you had been referring to? Yeah. Is that like still kind of one of the themes of the project at this point?
Yeah, it still is.
Still is? That's awesome. Because I wasn't sure now you had said a rebrand. I wasn't sure if that was still on the table. And
I only made that face because that person still be coming back. But yeah, we won't get into it. But yeah, it still is.
So to put so much effort into like something that's so deep and thoughtful, like I can see how that process might be lengthy, because it that's a lot of emotion to put in. Is that like safe to say?
Yes. And what's crazy enough now that it just came to my mind is that this experience started when I first started my music career, which was back in 2020.
Oh wow. So this is kind of coming full circle almost in a way for
pretty much
for this body of work that we'll get to hear in 2024.
Yeah, pretty much. So it's quite interesting for the most part, but I definitely, not only do I want to speak on this karmic relationship, but also speak on how much I've learned about myself, and how much growth that occurred while dealing with this person, and also dealing with other people, and as well as putting an emphasis on the importance of stepping into your power, being in your power, and also recognizing how divine you are as a person, whether you identify as a woman or a male, because there's the divine masculine, there's the divine feminine, and also just like recognizing how much like you should pour into yourself, and how much love you should give to yourself, especially with dealing with these certain relationships, because a lot of karmic relationships are relationships that are obviously tend to be toxic and tend to really drain people depending on which person it is. But no matter what, it's a relationship that teaches you a lot about yourself.
Could you explain what a karmic relationship is to our audience? Yeah. To anybody that isn't familiar, doesn't know what that is, just for context for them?
Of course. So for my opinion, you can always Google this, but for my opinion, a karmic relationship is pretty much when you meet someone who is like a karmic soulmate. So there's different types of soulmates. You're going to have to look that up. But to speak on karmic soulmates is pretty much a person that you meet in your life at a time where it can be very transformative. So they kind of spark a spiritual awakening. And it's a person that really teaches you a lot about yourself and what things you may have to heal from, like things that may be triggering to you. So this person is kind of like a mirror in a sense. And the relationship really, I would say, makes you evolve as a person. Typically with karmic relationships, unfortunately, there may be only one person that may be evolving more than the other one. But then again, everyone that I've talked to that have kind of experienced karmic relationships, you know, the situation is different for everyone.
Sure.
And for me, I would say I can definitely say that I am the person that is evolving, and the other person, you know, unfortunately is still in the same, you know, lower state or lower vibrational state, if you want to say.
No, I mean, I think that that's definitely challenging. I think even in friendships, right? I mean, that can happen
That
where,
too.
you know, you've been friends with somebody for so long, and you know, maybe you're just going in a different direction than they are, and that can happen. And it's not to say that you like lose love for that person, but
No,
it's
of
just
course not.
it's just you're in just different places, and I think us as human beings normalizing that a little bit, like we're such complex creatures
People, yeah.
from a biological standpoint, but also from just like an intellectual standpoint, like there's emotional standpoint, like there's so much that, you know, we do have nature, but I think we are so like the nurture part, like when talking about that sort of dichotomy of like nature versus nurture, like I think the nurture part is the biggest element of it, right? Like at least that's my opinion on it, but
Yeah.
I think that really is the defining factor, and like our environment really does play, in the people we surround ourselves does in fact play a
too.
huge role on how much we grow, or maybe how much we don't, or whatever direction we go in, depending. So that's really, really interesting. And
Yeah.
so, and I'm sure that's going to be like a really deep, like I said, a deep dive and perspective for you, and probably gonna be something difficult, but
Yeah.
in a way, is that going to be is this process therapeutic, or is it
It's-
like bringing up a little bit more like just trauma that is difficult? Like which side of that, or is it maybe mixable?
So when I first started like working on the concept or like on the EP, it was definitely bringing up a lot of emotions. You know, traumas, or, you know, thinking a lot about the past, or thinking about all the things that this person did to me, and, you know, how I was feeling in that moment, or what I probably did to them, or whatever it may be. Now that I'm kind of reworking on the EP, I feel like it's going to be therapeutic, because now this time I'm going to be speaking on how I was able to feel empowered dealing with this person. You know, before I was kind of speaking on how this person made me feel, how my heart was broken, how I felt sad, how it hurts to have love for someone that, you know, is not for you. But now I'm in a place where, yes, it is sad to have love for someone that is not for me, but I'm grateful for that person, and I'm grateful that I met them, and I will always send them love and care, even if they don't do the same for me. But now it's all about just empowerment, you know, just feeling empowered, and recognizing that, you know, now that I've been interacting with this person compared to 2 years ago, or when I first started the project. I actually was working on the ideas of the project last year around in the fall time, and now I just am in a place where I'm learning how to like step into my power when it comes to this person, for them not to feel like, you know, they have power over me or whatever it may be. So it's definitely going to be therapeutic for sure.
I love that.
Yeah.
And then I know for you, like empowerment, that word is like important for you in a lot more ways. Like that word has a few connotations, and for you specifically, I know that there's a few different ways that you like to show empowerment, specifically for females and different things like that, and specifically you being a model as well. I'm sure that plays a huge role. So I'm curious to kind of shift to that side of things for you, your modeling career. How do you, when you're preparing, so this kind of fascinates me, this idea, like when you are getting prepared for a session in the studio versus like a photo shoot, like what is the difference in those preparations, whether it's like mindset or whether it's just I don't know anything. I'm maybe because I don't
Yes, okay.
I'm not a model clearly. So yeah. So what and I'm not an artist either. So there you go. I don't live in either world necessarily. For you, like, is that preparation the same? Is there a difference there? Like, because I think, you know, in some ways they're both forms of art, but you're working literally different muscles, but
Right.
also like figuratively as well. So I'm just curious,
Right.
like, how that sort of plays. And then is there a way, the second part of that question, like, how do each of those pieces of your life complement each other?
I would say for both of them, I mean, definitely the one thing that I do try to do more so, I don't do this often when I go into the studio to record, but when I do a photo shoot, I tend to usually call, not to get spiritual, but
That's okay.
I tend to usually call into my higher self. And the reason why I do that is, so I usually say like, oh, I call into my higher self right now to use me as a vessel. And I actually do this prior to performing. But modeling, I do that just so that I can feel, again, empowered, and I can feel, what's it called? I can feel, obviously beautiful and in my divine state. So, and I only do that with modeling because modeling, depending on the shoot, I'm going to be taking pictures. I'm going to be kind of putting myself in a vulnerable state, I guess you could say, depending
Sure.
how the what kind of photo shoot it is or the theme or whatever it may be. And then when it comes to the studio, it's different, because like for the photo shoot, I have to get my hair done, do my makeup, whatever it may be. Recording studio, I can go in there with my sweatpants if I wanted to, or I can dress however I want. Like, it's more relaxed, it's more comfortable. It's like stepping into your house. That's at least how I look at it as.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. But I'm thinking now too, because you said like vulnerable, right? And I'm thinking about, like, as an artist, that's a vulnerable place to be as well in
Oh,
your
of course,
music. But
yeah.
it's like it's a different type of vulnerability, right? Like the modeling's a little bit more physical, but I think when creating music, I'm sure there's more of like a spiritual vulnerability as well. Maybe
I would say so.
Maybe they both,
Yeah.
like I said, maybe they transfer over too. And then for you, because I want to get to as well the Grainy Days collaboration you have going on for Latinx Heritage Month, which is really, really cool. I want to talk to you about that. But yeah, like how does your modeling career and the music, like how do they complement each other, do you think, in your own experience?
I feel like with the modeling, it's definitely more so kind of showcases another side of me, of how much I appreciate myself and I appreciate my beauty. With my music, it's, that is kind of where you can learn more about who I am, like internally, like that's kind of like getting to know like the real Yelena, or like the soul part. And then the modeling is more so like on the surface level, like, you're seeing me and, how I'm like showcasing myself, but it's also, kind of very like, obviously creative, and it's also very divine, and the way I portray myself in pictures and stuff. So I think that's kind of how it kind of goes hand in hand, if that makes sense. But with the music and the modeling is definitely kind of like, I don't want to say I showcase two sides of myself, but it's definitely like, like this is the Yelena music. It's very soulful, deep, emotional, or very bright, vibrant. And then the photo shoots, depending what kind of photo shoots I do, I can be very, sensual, or just very playful, or just kind of showcasing a whole different side, but also kind of, it's similar to the music as well, as how I showcase myself in music, if that makes sense, or performing wise, if you want to also talk about that too.
Yeah, so it's almost like they more complement each other.
Yeah,
than
they
it
definitely
is-
complement each other.
Yeah, and you're able to kind of like figuratively speaking, work different muscles in different sort of parts of yourself, which
Correct,
is
yeah.
awesome. I love that. I think that, too much of anything is if you immerse yourself into one thing too
Yeah.
much, it can be overwhelming, right? So to have that balance of being like, maybe in my music, I don't want to be sensual and playful, but I know when I go on a photo shoot, or if like it
I can
calls
do
for it, like
that
you
if
said,
I want.
exactly, I kind
Yeah.
of just be free, allow myself to do
Right.
that. And then, like you had said, like emotionally with the music, you can be more free there.
Yeah, definitely.
like,
Modeling, sometimes you cannot be so free, depending what it is,
Depends on what's going on.
Yeah,
right?
with the kind of photo shoot you're doing, if you're
Right.
working alongside a certain designer or whatever it may
Right.
be. So yeah, sometimes you don't have full control, I guess you could say, but yeah.
Yeah, I do want to talk about the Grainy Days
Yeah.
collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
But before we do that,
Okay.
it's time for a pop quiz.
Okay.
So,
Oh gosh.
that's everybody's reaction on pop quiz. Can we stop with this reaction? It's not as bad. Ask anybody else that's been on the show. It's not as bad as you might think. There are a few gems in here. There are always a few gems in pop
gosh.
quiz.
Okay.
So, for you who may not know, and anybody at home, sitting at home watching this, or car or whatever, wherever you are listening to this or watching this, pop quiz is where we take a little detour.
Okay.
All right. And we ask you some rapid fire questions. And
Okay.
maybe they have something to do with music. Maybe they don't.
Okay.
And you might not know what I know or what I found out. So pop quiz is when I get to flex a little bit and be like,
Okay.
this is what I found out. So anyway, we're just going to start off nice and easy for you. Okay.
Okay.
So this is more on Latin music. Like, I'm just genuinely curious. I don't listen to a lot of Latin music. I don't dislike it. I just naturally not a
Not to
genre
be
that I
rude,
gravitate
but
to.
are you white or are you?
I am so offended right now. This episode is over.
I don't sound ignorant. I'm
Thank you
just
so
curious.
much.
Are
I
you
didn't-
are you
no, well,
Brazilian?
Portuguese.
You're Portuguese.
And
Oh,
Italian.
Oh,
mostly.
nice.
Like
Okay,
I'm mostly that.
Okay.
I only, weirdly enough, I only knew I was Italian for like most of my life. My mom was adopted.
Oh, okay.
So my father's 100% Italian.
Oh, nice.
Off the boat.
Okay.
His birth name's literally Alfredo, so it can't get any more Italian than that.
Okay.
My last name's Scarfo, so there you go. Very
Okay.
Italian. Yes, I am distantly related to Little Nicky Scarfo, who's the biggest mob boss in Philly,
Oh my
New
God.
Jersey history.
I have a love for like mobsters, not in a weird way, but like it's I don't know, like I've always
Damn.
something about the lifestyle
Interesting.
always intrigued me.
So I don't live up to the name, if you can believe it.
Okay. I
I'm.
mean, it's good. Good to know, right?
I mean, listen. I'm not a mobster. I mean, I know I give off that vibe. I'm joking. Obviously, I don't. The school teacher, right? I went a different direction. We'll put it that way.
Okay.
So, yes, I am. I come from a big Italian family on that side, but my mom was adopted. Kind of just didn't have a lot of family growing up. Whatever. We did the 23andMe thing.
Oh, okay.
And this crazy lunch. So there's a picture. I've actually never put this. I'm going to show you afterwards because my phone's
Okay.
over there.
Yeah.
Remind me. And
will.
I'll put a picture on the screen. I'm actually very glad you asked this. I've never talked about this.
Sorry,
on air.
I didn't mean to like be rude. Because
You're not rude. No,
like
this is
about like,
awesome.
are you white?
By the way.
Like,
So I guess I would consider myself, I wouldn't consider myself anything but Caucasian, I guess. I wouldn't be
Okay.
like, I wouldn't consider myself like Latin or, of color or anything like that. I check off the white
Yeah.
box. I really do.
right.
I do get very dark though. Like in the summertime, like I can get
Well,
very,
Italians, there's people that I know are Italian. They also
Correct.
get, yeah.
Yeah, so my Italian family is like southern, so that's where
Oh,
like
okay.
a lot of
A lot of the
they can be
sun.
darker. Yeah,
Yep.
in the southern Italy, like southern Italians can tend to be a lot more dark.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously being Portuguese. So this is crazy. So my mom does the 23andMe thing, right? Finds a bunch of these different. I've never said this on air before, and I'll put the picture for you guys. You can't see. Oh, you'll see it later.
Okay.
It's probably on the screen right now for you, or it will be soon. So my mom, long story short, finds some like her half sisters, half siblings, all these
wow.
things, and we find out who my biological grandfather was. So one of the sisters, or I think it was a cousin, maybe something like that. I don't know. Mom, maybe you can hop in the comments, and if I'm misquoting anything, she watches the episodes sometimes.
Oh,
Love you, Mama. Shout out to you, Mama.
awesome.
Mama Turntable. So she gets this message on Facebook from a distant relative, and she's like, "Oh my God, is that your son?" Referring to me, because I was like on her Facebook or whatever.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Yeah," like, and it was my senior photo.
Okay.
And she's like, "Yeah, that's my son. Like, why?" Like, I guess they had talked for a little while, and then says, "Son, I need to show you a photo of our father at 18 years old." Sends the photo.
Oh.
And I have a photo on my phone now, which some of you clearly are seeing on the screen, and it's me and him side by side, and we look identical. It's crazy.
Wow.
Like, it's wild. Like, that is 1000% my grandfather. I mean, obviously the biological DNA test said it was,
Right.
but like, in case I was skeptical, that's my grandfather.
Oh, wow.
It's kind of wild. So to know, and he's like, yeah, like off the boat Portuguese. I think he was originally from Bermuda or something like that.
Okay.
Settled in like this area, weirdly enough. And yeah, he passed like 10 to 15 years ago or something like that. So
wow.
we never got to meet him. But I am going to Portugal in a couple weeks, so it's gonna be cool
Okay.
to like go to like
That'll
my
be nice.
yeah. So I'm excited for that. So anyway, That's my little family heritage story. Thank you for asking that. That was lovely.
I should have rephrased myself.
You
but-
white? You white, bro? Anyway, no, I'm not offended. Don't worry about it. It's fine. I don't get easily
I
offended.
just don't want anyone to get offended in the comments.
No, don't get offended. This is gonna make for a great clip. I'm not gonna lie. I'm clearly clipping this one. Anyway, and look at Yelena distracting me from pop quiz.
I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh. What the heck? No, I'm kidding. So anyway, so about Latin music, right?
Okay.
I think it's become very popular, right? With artists like
yes.
Bad Bunny, all these other artists as well.
Ooh.
How do you think that that Latin music has expanded into the mainstream as a whole in the United States and more so in Boston? How do you think it could expand even further? Like, are you happy with how it's being portrayed and how it's expanded in popular culture in the United States, and where and which areas of growth would you feel like wanting that to be more?
I mean, honestly, I feel like with Latin music or Latin music industry in general, I feel like it's already like touched, like went over the sky, as they say.
Yeah.
You know, like I feel like right now there's really no limit. I feel like now a lot of people are really acknowledging Latin music, and I'm really happy to know. And when I found out that I was nominated for Latin Artist of the Year, I was really happy to find out that like the very last time they nominated someone for that award or someone won that award was back in the 90s.
No way.
So yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah, I like literally found that out when I was doing my research.
So sick.
Yeah, so I'm
So
pretty
it's kind of
much
making its comeback, is what you're.
yeah,
is what
it's
seems
it's
like.
having its comeback, and I feel like what probably made the Boston Music Awards maybe acknowledge or put that category is because obviously of Bad Bunny, because Bad Bunny really made the world recognize like Latin music, and a lot of people who are not even Latin listen to Latin music, but also like people like Karol G and people like so many like other players like Shakira, or even you want to talk about the
Shakira,
OGs and stuff like that. But I really feel like with what Bad Bunny did, it just really put Latin music on a higher pinnacle or higher stage.
Yeah.
And it also really just really like made people recognize like the importance of putting like Latin music in its rightful category, and not just put it in the world of music category, you know, stuff like that. Because I've heard stories of like, you know, the how much Latin music has evolved, and how much, you know, other platforms have recognized, or even like the Grammys, like the award shows and stuff like that. So I feel like kind of answering your question, I really feel like, I don't know, like I feel like we're good where we are, but obviously Latin music and like the industry in general is gonna obviously get better. And I think it's at a point right now where it's like now they're kind of mixing and mingle with other genres, like Latin music. Some certain Latin artists are like mixing and mingle with like the Afrobeat side, and
Yeah, how cool has that been? I just saw that
I
Bad
love
Bunny.
that.
Bad Bunny just was on a Gorillaz song.
Yeah.
Like crazy.
Yeah, or
And
even like the hip hop side,
right.
you
Just
know,
with
like
Drake,
it's
and it's
like
super cool.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like now everyone wants a piece of us, which is nice, you know. But yeah, so it's great. Yeah.
No, I think that's awesome that that's become more mainstream, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a genre that I don't think I ever like consciously thought about
Mm-hmm.
until kind of recently. I mean, growing up, I listened to Shakira every now and again, but I don't think I ever truly, you know, I'm a Daddy Yankee, like when that big song Gasolina, obviously,
Yeah.
but it never really struck me as like, oh, okay, there's like this genre. But I guess same thing with Afrobeat. Like I've started to dabble that a little bit more in
Yeah.
dance hall, and I think it takes, like you said, like certain artists to put a spotlight on that, like a Bad
Pretty
Bunny
much,
to,
yeah.
and then when Drake brought in the dance hall thing, I think it got a lot bigger as well.
Exactly.
And then opened it up to, oh, hey, like there's Afrobeat as well, and there's all these other different genres that have been around for decades and decades and decades, just haven't gotten like the spotlight. So sometimes all it takes is just one person to like
No, literally.
bring it out, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So
Super cool.
It's great.
I love that. So going back to when you were 7, your dad bought you a movie with Selena, right? And that's
Yes.
like your big inspiration. You
Yes.
love her.
I love her, yeah.
I had to go back. I thought you were, when I found out about this, I thought it was Selena Gomez, and then I found out it was not Selena Gomez at all. It was the other Selena. So
I mean, no offense.
no offense to Selena
great,
Gomez,
you know?
you know, but No. So if you guys thinking I'm talking about Selena Gomez, no, like just Selena.
She's great. She's great.
No.
No disrespect.
No, absolutely not. But I'm glad I made that clarification as well. I just wanted to
course.
make fun of myself a little bit too at my ignorance. So I'm not too familiar with Selena, but I know that's been a big inspiration for you. So what do you love most about her, and why has she been such an inspiration to you since you were literally age 7?
Yeah. I mean, who wouldn't love Selena? I feel like Selena, compared to all the artists that have come out, like, you know, since when she was like back in the 90s and stuff like that, or prior, Selena is literally, for me as a woman, I feel like she's a great example to look at. You know, she is beautiful inside and out. The way she just like spoke to people, like the way she carried herself was very like, very kind, very sweet. You know, she was very true to herself. She was like, she didn't really care how others may have perceived her. She didn't care about making mistakes, or like, you know, if you ever watch like interviews of her, there's one interview that she did, and I feel like this is more so for like Latinos growing up in America. There was an interview that she did where she mispronounced, or she said 17. I think it was like, I forget the exact number, but she said a number in Spanish incorrectly, you know, and the woman who was interviewing her, who is obviously Latina, you know, laughed with her and said, "Oh no, this is how you say it," you know. And growing up, she didn't like know how to speak Spanish. She started learning how to speak Spanish fluently as she was doing music in Spanish, you know. So I feel like a lot of Latinos growing up in America can really relate to that. But for me, what made me really relate to her was her essence, you know, the way that she did her music, the way that she performed, also her fashion sense was definitely very inspiring. The way she was very simple, but also very unique, if that makes sense, you know?
No, I think that balance or juxtaposition, having those two different things is like, that's rare. That's like a rare find. So for you to be inspired by her, I guess I'm not that surprised. Was the movie that, it was a movie, right? That your dad brought home?
The movie, the Jennifer Lopez movie.
Oh, okay. I understand now. Awesome. And did you know that, like, when you were watching it, that she was a musician, or did that like come a little bit later?
I didn't know that she was an actual person. I didn't know that she was unfortunately not alive.
Right.
When I watched it, so I think that was the most heartbreaking thing for me when I found out. I remember I cried for like hours.
Oh, because you were so young at the time.
Yeah, I was just so young, and obviously when she died and when she was alive, I wasn't alive myself. I wasn't in the world. So it was it was very heartbreaking when I found out. But yeah, I had no clue she was a real person.
So cool.
So
well, big inspiration. We all have that one, that first inspiration. So it's really cool that's that. If for you, it sets you on the trajectory you're on.
Yeah.
All right, now we're gonna have some fun.
Okay.
I got some fun ones for you.
Oh gosh.
So let's say, for example, you're on a first date. Okay. And there's this thing I've been seeing around lately on TikTok and these different things, that girls saying that there's certain icks that they have for guys. Like your
like
ick,
turn-offs?
Yeah, like your turn-off, right?
Okay.
Like, and some of them are like ridiculous. Like one girl, like I hope she's joking, but she was like, oh, when like a man orders for himself at a restaurant, it's like, how is he supposed to order food? But anyway, I thought that was odd. Yeah. It's like a running joke. I don't know if these are like true or not, but apparently, obviously everybody, not even just women, but men, everybody has their turn-offs.
Oh, of course.
For you, is there a bigger turn-off than chewing with your mouth open? Is there anything else? Like if you're on a first date, guy's chewing with his mouth open, is that it?
Yeah, it's like kind of annoying. Like that's how I look at it as. It's like annoying, or like definitely on a first date, the biggest turn off for me is like if you're talking about yourself a lot.
Oh, okay.
Like, no, like, come on, like, let's, like, I don't know, like, I don't like it when people are just like, you can tell when someone's just talking about themselves, and you try to like intervene and be like, oh yeah, I can relate to that, and they're like, yeah, but you know, when it comes to, and I'm like, oh, okay,
those are fun people.
Yes, those are interesting people. Yeah.
I was told to ask you about chewing with your mouth open, that's kind of a pet peeve for you, so I'm not sure That was a good source. Come on, sources.
Yeah, I mean, it is it is a pet peeve, but I feel like my other pet peeve besides that one is when they get too comfortable, like right away.
Got you.
Those are like my two, and I forget my other one, but yeah.
All right, those are the biggest ones.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then I'm afraid to ask some of the other ones because I don't know if these are true either. But we're gonna go with it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
You weren't wrong with that one.
Oh, I wasn't wrong. Okay,
yeah,
it
yeah.
just wasn't like as much of a pet peeve as some other things.
Yeah.
You're a big gym goer. You love the gym.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've heard. And so I got a question. So about this, what is a workout that you hate doing? Like you dread doing it, but you know it's good for you and like gets like great results.
Probably lunges.
Lunges.
Like walking lunges or like. No, literally.
I'm like, as you can see, I have super skinny legs. I don't. I skip leg day. I'm sorry, people.
It's okay.
I know I shouldn't. I don't. I try not to. But yeah, lunges.
It's okay.
I agree.
Yeah, lunges, and
tough.
then there's one, I forget the name of it, but it's like you put one leg on the bench, and then this one has to like go down. So like,
oh
you know
yeah,
which one I'm talking about?
I do know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah,
those are tough too.
Those ones are not my favorite, but yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, I love it. If the world was ending and you had one last meal, what would be your last meal?
Oh my god, this is so hard.
I know, right?
Well, I love Italian food, so
Nice.
I feel like.
What's that?
Well, I told you I was into mobsters. Not like that though. Like not like when I said that. Like I don't mean that like I'm into guys that are doing like criminal
Mobsters,
activity.
do not call Yelena. She's not interested.
I'm just kidding. No, don't call me. But if you want to invest in my music career, let's talk about that. But anyways, but yeah, I definitely love Italian food. So I feel like for me, a good chicken Alfredo with broccoli would be nice for my last meal if the world was ending.
I like it.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Sorry, my Latinos. I know y'all were probably expecting for me to say something Latin based, but I love Italian food, So
Yeah. To be fair, I probably wouldn't pick an Italian dish for my last meal.
Oh really?
So,
what would you pick?
Great question. Because I can't think of anything better off the top of my head right now, I'm going to say this one. So there's this restaurant specific. I'm going to be like very specific right now.
Okay.
There's this restaurant in Malden
Okay.
called Crazy Good Kitchen.
Oh, I feel like I heard
There's
of
also
it.
one in Boston
Okay.
on, where is it? Not Tremont Street. It's kind of near, oh my God, where's like the market? Why am I blanking on this street where
Is
like
it
there's
Nubian Market?
Newberry Street.
Newberry Street.
Sorry,
Okay.
my bad. I don't know. I just had a brain fart. Yeah, there's one on Newberry Street and then
Okay.
there's one in Malden. I think they just put another one somewhere else too. But anyway,
Yeah.
this is not like they're also not sponsoring this episode. If Crazy Good Kitchen, you want to sponsor this episode or a future episode, we can welcome that. We can have that conversation. I am a frequent
Frequent goer.
buyer. My girlfriend and I, we order there probably like once a month. So it's a burger and it's fantastic. It's a burger and shake spot.
Okay.
And
Wow.
now you would just be like, oh, it's just like Shake Shack, whatever. No, this place is these burgers are like unbelievable, like melts in your mouth type deal. I would have one of their double burgers with their curry fries and the Reese's like, what shake thing.
Okay.
This is like a big cheat meal for me. Like I'm talking,
Okay.
I just am like, vegging out one night,
Okay.
and then, but it doesn't happen often. But that would be my
Okay.
like end of the, world meal. Like I'm going to Crazy Good Kitchen and I'm getting that.
Okay.
And I'm posting up and just waiting for the aliens to take us or the asteroid or whatever the heck
Would happen.
So
Okay.
Crazy Good Kitchen. But again, not a sponsor. Can be though if you want to be. If you could live anywhere else in the world, where would it be? I've heard you say a few things like going back to Florida, maybe going abroad, maybe Dallas, Texas, Houston, maybe somewhere like that. If you could live anywhere else other than Boston or the Massachusetts area, where else would you live?
Bali.
Bali.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah. Bali there's like a list that I have, but honestly, if I wasn't doing music, I definitely would like probably live in Bali and probably open a restaurant there.
Ooh.
Or I'll go to Cuba and do the same. Or maybe like even like Cape Verde.
Okay.
I've thought about that.
Tight.
Like any place is tropical, nice, and I wasn't like I just wanted to live my life like just minimal or like minimalist. Is that?
Minimalist.
Yeah.
Minimalistic. Yep.
That's probably what I would do.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right, final question in pop quiz. You're almost there.
Okay.
She's looking at me going, this needs to end now. I hate this segment.
No.
I'm just messing with you. You're fine. What advice would you give to anybody who has stage fright? I know that's something you came over when you were younger. And if you had advice to somebody who has stage fright that's maybe listening to this right now.
Yeah.
Or gets nervous I'm sure everybody still gets nervous when
Oh,
they go
yeah,
on
of
stage.
course.
I get nervous doing podcasts, so I can't imagine that.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm fine now, but like it's
Okay.
like it's
Okay,
like
good.
within the first like 30 seconds,
Okay.
I'm like, oh no, I forgot how to do this whole thing. No, but it's just nerves.
No, it makes sense.
What advice would you give to somebody that has stage fright?
Yeah.
To help them get them out of it.
I mean, I think the biggest thing is like there's two things. One, if you're able to maybe like go to a vocal teacher, go to someone that can teach you on how to like perform, so like a performance, like a vocal teacher, whoever else, maybe do that. Or I think, I don't know if this sounds bad to say, but it's kind of like, when you're first learning how to swim, and sometimes some people would do this and don't do this, but people will just like throw the person in the water, and then that's how you kind of learn how to swim, because in that moment you're panicking, you're like, oh my God, what do I do? And then you kind of, but the reason why I use this example is because I feel like with overcoming stage fright, it's really about putting yourself in that place. So like pushing yourself to perform in stage, and you can start little by little, probably like, I don't know, like sing in front of 10 people, like maybe 5 to 10 people. And then from there, you're like, okay, that was actually not bad. Because once you get in the groove, of things, then you'll kind of like want to do it again and then and again and again. And then the next thing is sing to maybe 10 to 20 people. And then from there, you just kind of like, kind of go on and stuff like that. And then it'll get to a point where you're like, oh, wow, like this is so nice. Like I feel a little bit nervous, but it's not as much as I used to. So I feel like that's the advice I'll give, because for me, the way I overcame it was really like just going on the stage and practice as much as you can, because practice will definitely help, because that's what I did prior to performing my very first time and overcoming stage fright, was practicing and honestly just doing it. I don't know if that really helps, but like,
No, that's great.
It's just, I feel like with overcoming stage fright, it's all about just doing it like little by little, like pushing yourself to do it and practicing as much as you can. Looking at yourself in the mirror definitely helps.
Interesting.
If you can.
Okay.
It's a little bit awkward at first, but if you can do that at least, that would definitely help you, like take the steps to overcoming stage fright.
I like it. I also like the drowning analogy. I don't know if you've seen this, but I think this is like crazy, but supposedly when you're teaching babies how to swim, like some people just like throw them in the water and like let them drown. Or not let them drown. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. But like let them like suffer for a few minutes and like kind of figure it out.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think anybody did that to me, but
rush,
or maybe they did. I don't know. Maybe I just don't remember. I don't know. I feel like that would give me trauma for the water, but I don't know.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it.
No, yeah. Not recommending it, but like kind of recommending it as like an analogy type deal. But anyway, great job. You killed it. Great job on pop quiz.
Yeah.
And she got me distracted before pop quiz. So that's like being a good student. That's every good student knows they have to distract the teacher at some point.
Right.
That's how it goes. My students try to do that to me all the time, and I'm
Really?
like, nope,
I cannot imagine.
we're not doing this. Nope, I know what you're trying to do. We're staying on task. When I was younger, it worked. Now,
not so much.
that's not working so much. Anyway, back to main lesson. I have just I want to, obviously this is like a big thing going on, and I don't know why I waited so long to talk about this, but the Grainy Day Studios collaboration. I promised we'd talk about it for Latinx Heritage Month.
Yeah.
Super cool. Can you explain a little bit about what you're doing with them and what this sort of collaboration and endeavor, what the point is? So to speak?
So the whole point is just pretty much bringing people together who identify as Latinx and coming together and just taking pictures as a way to showcase their culture. So like, like if you're someone who's a model, a creative, or whoever may be, artist, you come to the studio and you bring with whatever with you that may identify with your culture, wherever you're from, and just take pictures and have fun, and the reason why I thought of it, it was because I really wanted to make a point of doing something important for Latin Heritage Month. And originally my idea was to do something in the city, but that's still in the works, so I can't talk too much about it with what I want to do. But with this idea, I just really thought it just would be a fun idea, like for people to come in, take pictures, have fun, speak on your culture, and just kind of showcase, what, Latinx Heritage Month means to you, or what it means for you to be of, Latin descent or whatever it may be. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you think this is going to help to not only spread, be more of a community-led basis in the Latinx community, but how do you think that this collaboration will help to spread more cultural awareness, not only in Boston, but hopefully wherever it can potentially reach?
I think it definitely will help with still like creating more of awareness of, of the people who are in not only in the music scene, but people who are in mass, who are of Latin descent, and the importance of speaking on, our culture and bringing awareness of the things that we could be struggling with, or bringing awareness to the amount of like successful Latinx people we have, of all the things that we do, whether it's like someone who's a teacher, someone who's a public, figure, who's in politics or whatever, or is in music, or who's a model, or even a photographer, whatever it may be, producer, the list goes on. So I feel like it's all about just creating an awareness of, of our people, I guess you could say, and, and of, this month, like obviously Latinx Heritage Month and a Latino or Latina's house is every day, but it's this month specifically, I feel like is a month where we should really take initiative and just embrace, who we are. So,
amazing.
Yeah.
How did the collaboration come to be with Grainy Days? Like, how did that sort of start?
So I've worked with the amazing photographers, I connected with them through an interview that I did a while ago, and I brought up the idea with them, and they're like, yeah, let's do it. They're all Dominican,
cool.
so, and I'm Cuban Dominican, so I was really glad that they're open to the idea, and that that they wanted to kind of move forward with it. So yeah,
super cool.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. Well, Yelena, this has been such a great episode. Like, I've loved having you, conversation, the laughs. This has been great. I feel like I've learned a lot today.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
And I appreciate that. No, it's good because I haven't had a Latin artist on the platform yet.
Wow.
So I've not to say to check off that box necessarily, but for me specifically to sit down with somebody and learn a little bit today was amazing. And I hope that our audience has learned a little bit more today too, because I think that I just love your energy. I love your spirit.
Oh, thank you.
I really
Likewise.
think that. Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. But no, I believe, like, I mean it. Where I think, the accolades are cool and all that, but I think you are so early on in this. I think your impact is going to be a lot more lasting than just a Boston Music Award. I want to bring it up because it's deservedly so, but I don't want that to be like your defining thing, because I think you have so many of these other initiatives that you clearly care about, and these other things that you're really doing, like the modeling and like focusing on spreading cultural awareness and awareness for female empowerment and body positivity. All these things that you stand for, I think, is going to be what will be your legacy going forward when it's all said and done. And I like, those are the things that matter more than anything.
Of course.
So I appreciate that, and I recognize that, and I've already loved keeping up with what you're doing, and I cannot wait for this EP when it drops, and the single.
Of course.
No date for the single yet?
No date yet, but it's coming.
Well, it'll definitely be on our playlist for sure. I can almost bet that I'm going to enjoy it. And it's going to, open me up a little more to some Latin music, especially around here. I don't know that many Latin artists, so you've kind of opened a door for me, and I truly appreciate it. Hopefully it does for our audience as well.
Yeah.
Can't let you go quite yet, though.
Okay.
You're not done quite yet.
Okay.
She's going to be going, oh no, what does he have now? This one's a fun one, I promise. There's nothing crazy. This is the open response, and in the open response we do the dream song scenario.
Okay.
So I'll structure it for you. You get a song. It's a Yelena Rodriguez song, and you get two producers and 3 guest features.
Oh, okay.
Dead or alive. Can be any artists in the world, dead or alive. Who would be on Yelena Rodriguez's dream song scenario? Again, one to 2 producers. You don't need to do 2 if you don't want to. I always say 1 to 2 producers, 3 guest artists. Who would be on that song? Take as much time as you need.
Okay, producer. My gosh, let me think. Okay, John Glass.
John Glass?
And yeah, I really want to work with him.
Johnny, I'm sending you this clip. If you're listening, the man touches so many genres. I don't know if you've done Latin music yet. Maybe you have, and I'm wrong.
We've talked, exchanged conversations here and there. Yeah, but
Mr. Glass, big fan of him, and he's also a good friend of the show.
Oh,
we love Mr. Glass.
Go.
Big shout out to you, John. Love you, buddy.
And then artist, and another producer I would say would be Echo. He is a producer who's worked with a lot of artists in the Latin industry. You can look him up. His studio is called Echo Studios. I think it's in Miami. And he's worked with like Daddy Yankee, worked with like all the OGs. You know, if you know, you know. So he's great. And thanks for J Rose to talk to me about him. And then artist wise, I would say number 1, Karol G. Number 2, Christina Aguilera. Ooh. And then number 3, dead, I would say Selena for sure.
Super cool.
Yeah.
That would be quite the song.
I know it would be quite the song. John,
I'll give you a call. We're going to make this one. We manifest these songs. Well, this is just mostly just a fun exercise, like what we're talking to, but we try to manifest on here too.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, why not?
We're gonna maybe make a phone call. So anyway, love that. Great, gonna be a great song. Yelena Rodriguez featuring Selena, Christina Aguilera,
and Karol G.
With John Glass and Echo on the production. I think it would be a smash, number 1 hit.
I think so too. I think it would be.
It'd be fantastic.
Yeah, top of the line.
Yelena, thank you so much for being here. This was such a fun episode. Sincerely appreciate you taking the trip out.
Of course,
now there's nothing left to do but to plug away. So where can the people find you? Anything else you want to plug or anybody else you want to shout out? The floor is now yours for that. Go ahead.
Perfect. Well, make sure y'all follow me, Yelena Music. My link tree is on there, so you can literally click and look on my website, my other social media platforms. On Facebook, Twitter, all the other ones you can think of, YouTube, all that good stuff. And I definitely want to say thank you so much for letting me be a part, on your show. This was definitely amazing. And I want to say thank you to everyone who continues to show immense support. I'm super grateful for those, like I said in the beginning, like who remain to be here, who have seen me grow so much. And I'm very grateful, to my parents who, I know sometimes I cannot be the easiest daughter, but I'm very grateful for their support. And I'm very grateful for my friends, family, again, my other family, and the friends. Y'all know who you are. I don't want to sit here and name every single person because a lot of people, as well with the artists that I've worked with, the DJs that I've worked with, and everyone else. Thank you so much. I'm grateful for you guys. And I'm grateful for you.
Oh, that was like one of the better, somebody was just like, hey, you can follow me here and that's about it. And we got close to that. That was like one of the more like sincere closing statements we've had. So I love that. That's awesome. See, genuine soul here. I knew that. That's why we had her on.
Oh,
and if of course, if you're a fan of Yelena, just coming on to us for the first time, you can follow us at Turntable Teachers on Instagram. We are doing the TikTok thing. You can follow us there. You can also hit up our website, turntableteachers.com, for all the latest merch, blog posts, episodes. Got a lot going on there. Also, if you're an artist, podcaster, content creator, whatever it is you do in the creative field, make sure you hit us up, aoastudios.org. Book your session today. We do recording sessions for podcasting. We do recording sessions for music. We have engineering services. We also provide music videos. There's literally a beautiful space out there where you can do your photo shoots and your video shoots. We have it all here. Check us out. You won't be disappointed. We have great staff over here. And as always, thank you very much for listening and staying tuned. And of course, all of Yelena's links will be in the description, so you won't have to go that far for that, as well as ours. So check that out.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for being here.
Yeah,
this was
thank
a fantastic
you so much.
episode.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome. As always, I'm Mike. That's Yelena Rodriguez with the Turntable Teachers, and class is officially Dismissed.
Finally.